And we'll start live streaming right now. We're about 3 minutes from going live. We're broadcasting live. So if your mother's watching, you can say, hi, Mom. But this is going to be an exciting show. I can see that because Sabrina, you're going to be talking about how to be both a powerhouse in your career and a passionate person in your life. That's very unique. And Andrea, your subject today about how to manage your financing during a crisis, that's going to be very interesting to a lot of people. And Victor's going to be talking to us about leveraging social media to keep your business thriving, because many people, and I know this to be true, since I'm in the radio business and I'm looking for sponsors, I mean, people kind of like, well, I don't want to, well, if you don't spend money, guess what? People forget about your name.
Yes.
And in the world of advertising, it's not about, if you get 100,000 downloads from our show, how many sales are going to get? It's all about impressions. Because look how bombarded we are every day with people. Look at your cell phone. Look how that's changed over the year.
Mm-hmm.
You get all these advertisements in there. You go like, and good and well, nobody's going to just quit playing their game or quit texting or whatever, or doing whatever they're doing on their cell phone to the bank, go count. Like Wells Fargo Bank. They had those commercials on there for a while. Wells Fargo, your bank, your bank, your bank. That's what they want to print in your mind is your bank. When you see Wells Fargo, they want you to think about that's your bank. That's the entire purpose of advertising, to make impressions. And I don't charge any extra for that, tidbit there, because that's just, I'm just that kind of a guy.
It's true, right? If we wanted for people to actually connect with us, the message has to be in front of those eyeballs.
Yes. Don't forget about you.
Yes.
And it's all about what's in it for them. How can you be of service to them? So anyway, let me go ahead and do a little homework here. And I got to put myself on the spotlight here. And I haven't done half the stuff I'm supposed to be doing here. I'm already behind the ball here. That's okay. Good help is hard to find. I see I misspelled that. There we go. We can go from there. We're going to be rock and roll here. How about that? And let's see, I need to make what did I do there? I shut off my video? My goodness gracious.
And that's why we can't see you.
That's why you couldn't see me, huh? Make myself the spotlight. And I got to do a quick little work right here, right quick. Got to do some stop video. We get to talking there, gentlemen. Have fun. This is going to be a fun video today. And most importantly, I want to share some things with you about Speakers Pathway Coalition. Thank you so much for joining us today on Messages of Inspiration, Hope, and Support. Let me share my screen with you. We'll show you a little bit about Speakers Pathway Coalition very quickly, and we will also share with you where you can find these beautiful speakers today and other speakers we've had in the past. This is our homepage, Speakers Pathway Coalition. We have free TEDx training here. If you click on that, Dandy Don will send you his 5 kick butt steps to a simple TEDx talk. It's great training. Our complimentary gifts, I'm going to right click on that. We'll go in just a moment. Here is the Messages of Inspiration, Hope, and Support. These are some of our individual speakers we've had. Each presentation that you see today will be isolated, just be their particular presentation. And we're going to look at that in just a moment. And very quickly, who we are. Don offers a free course in speaking. So if you're wanting to do webinars or do a business video about what you're doing, you might want to take a serious look and get this free complimentary course on speaking. Great tidbits in there. This is who we are. These are some of the things we do here. All business people need the tools there. We have those there in our training. This is our executive training directors, and me and Don, and of course our testimonies from our members that tell you how great we are. And also we have a radio show, Your Future is Now. We're on the TogiNet radio station. Now let's go to the complimentary gifts very quickly. Koji is in the videos. Bill is in the Clarity of Mind. These are all free gifts. Be sure and take advantage of them. Dr. Sony Jackson will share with you how to convert strangers into clients. Tamara Hunter has a celebration journal. She's a cancer survivor. And this is designed for people for good days, bad days, to keep track and make sure as they travel down the pathway of living and dealing with their illness and any cancer suffer, any life-threatening disease. If someone has that and they could use a celebration journal, help them in their daily life, please get that free gift. Dustin Matthews, he has a program here on how to get out of debt, boost your active income, and start investing in passive income. Preston Martelli, in a word, in 2 words, Mr. Google. That's him. Any questions about Google? That's your go-to guy. He'll complimentary brand on give you an audit on your brand. He will also give you his 90 action steps to help take you to the next level. Now, the messages of inspiration, hope, and support. As I mentioned earlier, we have about 10 per page here. And we got several pages there. We keep adding them. I know that Judy's picture is there. But when you click on a picture, you will see the individual YouTube presentation right here. And this is about Judy. She talks about the loss of her son at 18 to a drug overdose. Really appreciate that. And this is a little write-up about her, as we do all of our speakers. Now, let's get to taking care of business today. I need to invite to the show Sabrina. I'm going to give you, ask you to turn your video on, please. And unmute yourself there. Are you there? There she is. Let me give you the spotlight there. Good morning, Sabrina. How are you doing?
Good morning, Jim. Thanks for having me here.
Thank you. We're honored. And I just can't wait to hear about your presentation. You're going to be talking to us about how to be both. Number 1, how to be a powerhouse in your career. And number 2, how to be a very passionate person in your life. Sabrina, I can't wait to hear your information today, your message. Let me do 2 things. Let me cut off my camera and mute my mic, and the stage is yours.
Thank you. I'm Sabrina Rumbach. Let me take you into my story. About 4.5 years ago, I was standing there in front of a patient with my hands inside of his open chest. I was fully gowned, gloved, attempting with all that I had to get through this open heart surgery while having a fever of 101 degrees. My head was buzzing and my body felt so weak that everything seemed to be moving super slowly. Zzz, zzz. That beeper was paging me all night, just went off again, which made my exhaustion that much harder to hide. One of my nurses took pity on me and passed Dayquil and cough drop under my mask to keep me going. I was so grateful for her kindness. Unfortunately, when I woke up the next morning, I could barely get out of bed. So I called my manager. Hey, Mike, so sorry. Fever's not going away. I can't come in. And he responded, how come you're just telling me this now? Don't make a habit out of this. Imagine how frustrated I felt at the moment, especially in medicine. We pride ourselves and value practice with excellence, treat our patient well, and advocate for them. But I was treated like a human machine without a care for my well-being. I believe that we all work so hard to get to where we are right now. We didn't do it to simply hate every minute of it or give up and jump ship to something completely new. Well, what I realized it was that I say yes to almost everything. However, when we say yes to the things that do not align with your core values, then you might become resentful, unable to deliver those quality results or keep our promises with our family, friends, or work. I believe that many young, ambitious professionals like me are sharing similar struggles. And that's why I realized I have something I need to fix. Because life is short, yeah? People with me? So went back to my root in neuroscience and public health. I created a simple system called Say No to Stress and Say Yes to Stamina. Now I turn my life around and work full-time in surgery, loving it, as well as helping other young professionals with demanding careers for them to wake up excited while rising up as leaders in their fields. So if you feel stressed out, overwhelmed, it's okay. We have ways to get through this. So you're ready? Okay, I'm gonna share my screen with you. And let's rock and roll. Okay, sorry. Are we going? Yes, okay. So number 1 of our 3 simple steps is to say no to vagueness. So you can dream big, and achieve more. Unfortunately, people cannot read our minds. When you have a clear purpose and share well with others, then they can support us to get to those end goals. But think back when we were a child, right? The most common question we were asked was, what do you want to do when you get up, wake up, grow up? But that's such a unfair question, isn't it? Because when we are growing up, we haven't truly experienced anything at all. So our entire world is constricted from our parents, the society, our teacher, our friends, and anybody else that's just in those areas. But what we truly need to ask ourselves is, what type of lifestyle would you like to have when you grow up? When we driving ourselves by an end goal, then we can create that internal compass driven by purpose and clarity. And then to push us into the right pathway. Because guess what? You can pick multiple ways to get to a destination. But if you have clarity, you wouldn't be needing to go down 10 different routes and keep derailing yourself. And one of the questions my client always asks, Sabrina, what do I do then? I have too many interests. Well, good for you. That novelty make life go further, right? Keep things interesting. But I always suggest just write a one sentence purpose statement before you dive into any new project. So when you're super clear, despite the time being tough, like right now where we're in this situation of you're frustrated by not able to make this deep connection as you would in the social environment outside, and then you're here feeling alone, then it's more important for us to communicate clearly because people do get nervous. And if you couldn't express yourself well and there are vagueness in your messaging, then they will start to lose faith and respect in us. All right, so our number 2 step is to say no to negative thoughts so you can reclaim your mental power. Despite of any mission that you have in life, life is unpredictable. You're gonna have roadblocks. So how do you feel right now? Let me just start here. Do you feel amazing, wonderful, brilliant? Do you feel that way all the time? Well, let me clarify something with you. I feel amazing pretty much all the time. Before you're thinking I'm like little self-conceived, what is this person doing? I want to tell you, I think you're amazing all the time as well. Guess how I knew that? Because when we're born joyful, we're born pure, we're born to be laughing and eating, to go back to our root of natural instinct. It's that as we grow up, constrictions of knowing you have to do X, Y, Z to get to the next level, instead of understanding and appreciating the journey, giving gratitude and empathy to ourselves. And that's how we're being held back. So one of the story I want to share with you was, I remember in high school, I went to a really big high school in New Jersey. And I sat down in my calculus class. My seat is not even warm yet. And my teacher started passing out the quiz that we just took last week. I remember my heart started racing and my hand was sweating. Oh my goodness. Because I knew when I took the test, I didn't feel so good about it. And now I start doubting myself, like, what could it be? Oh my gosh, this is going to destroy my GPA going to college, right? And when I saw that number inside the big red circle, I would just start bawling. I'm not a pretty crier, just to say that. And guess what the number was? Well, it was 82. For some of you, you might think, well, it's not really that bad besides it's only one quiz and one test, big deal. But for me, at the moment, it was a big deal. Because when you push yourself so high up as all the hyper achievers out there, we're tying our identity to the next achievement instead of enjoying the process of getting there. Guess what? Even you couldn't do all 10 things off your to-do list, you got 7 done, you should still be proud of that 17% of the work. And then we can regroup and reorganize ourselves to do more. So Dr. David Schultz, in his book, A Magic Thinking Big, described there's the positivity and the negativity. And the power of I'm positive I can generate the skill and energy to overcome these mental barriers. And how I learned it is how do you build more positive intelligence into your life with one of my coach in Stanford on research literature. Why is that? Because for every one negative thought, it requires 3 positive ones to overcome that. So are you in control of your own mind to allow yourself to grow and live vivaciously in the positive round of things, or allow the primitive brain just to scan all the negativities in your life? So what I say is you always have the inner sabotagers, right? Me is a bunny because I was born in a year a bunny. And versus my sage, my positive mind, the strong leopard. What are those for you? And some of the sabotager I have was the hyper vigilant and rational person, controlling, judging myself. And don't we all have part of that? Actually, judgment is 1 out of 10 of sabotagers that we all share. It's number 1 crucial thing that holding us back. Versus the leopard part, right? The strong part of the inner animal in us, for me, is courageous, able to have fun, vivacious, and then be confident. And if I can live always rebuilding myself into this bigger part of me, how powerful can you be? So what are these positive messages that you have about yourself? And now, then some people say, how do you build this positive intelligence? Well, through little activities. Something very simple I would suggest is to have a daily inner strength finder. And every morning, say 1 positive thing about yourself out loud in front of a mirror. And say that out loud because you want to truly embody the message and believe in yourself for it. All right, so our 3rd step is say no to putting self-care last. Taking care of yourself first will allow you to give the best of you, not what's left of you. And you know what? Many people would say, I take care of myself. I take bubble bath. I have lunch with my friends. I go to the gym sometimes and I travel. But guess what? Are you doing those things every day? Do you truly feel fulfilled, energized through that one event that will last you all day long and never have afternoon slumps? Let me show you how. Think this way. How often in a typical day do you have these random thoughts come to your mind? It's not really serving you at the present time. 30, 40, 50, 70, 80%? Well, for most of us, it's more than 60%. And it's what psychology calls mental chatter, because we have more than 40 to 70 million thoughts come to ourselves every day, and majority were repeated from the previous day. Now, how will we overcome that? Very quickly, let me show you a stamina reboot session since we have little time. So put your feet down, flat on the ground. Relax your shoulder, drop down. Tilt your chin slightly forward. Close your eyes if you can. And then feel that energy from top of your head with 1 full breath in, count to 6, and moving through in between your eyebrow, your 3rd eye. Keep breathing, moving through your throat, your heart, your stomach, your navel, pelvis, moving all the down to your feet. Hold it for 3, 2, 1. Exhale, bring that energy back up from your feet, leg, pelvis, navel, stomach, heart, throat, third eye, go to your head. Do another deep breath, follow your own pace. And while doing that, put one hand, tap the finger to another, slide up and down slowly. Focus only on the texture, temperature. Feel the roughness, the smoothness. Keep moving. When you have other thoughts coming to you, just let it pass. And it's okay. Forgive yourself for anything that's not what you're doing right now, and only focusing on the sensation of touch and your deep breath. All right. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. How do we feel? Are you feeling lighter? Maybe a little more refreshed? Maybe some of the thoughts that you had earlier is not there anymore? Awesome. Can you imagine if you're able to reboot your energy, even just with this one exercise? Where I show most of my clients is find out which sensation they're most connected to. Could be smell, could be visual, could be touch, right? And use those things to continue to reboot your energy. Then you have so much more reserve. When you hit the pillow, it's not because you're exhausted. It's because you know when you need to go to sleep and you really feel refreshed when you wake up. And when you're awake, you can function at your peak performance level and not feeling drained by anything. So imagine yourself now. What can you do more? Spend more time with your significant other, kids, be able to finally pick up that book that you meant to read for a long time, be able to actually go to the gym every week? Yeah? Okay. Self-care is now selfish. Let's declare that it's necessity. So how do we win in life to be peak performers? Number one, right? Say no to vagueness. So then we know where our heart desires, creating that end goal, creating internal compass. Second, say no to negative thoughts. So we empower our brain's resilience to build that positive intelligence to keep us going. And then we can say no to putting self-care last. So our hands can carry out everything that we need to do in life without hesitations. So I believe that everyone are empowered to be powerhouses in your career and passionate person in life. You just need to have the right tools. So where do we go from here? Everyone can have a life full of heck yes. And to get there, you have to know your strengths and weaknesses. So take this free 3-minute quiz at sabrinaromback.com/assessment. And I will give you a graphic analysis of this assessment, as well as send you a voice memo and LinkedIn and Instagram with your interpretations. So you can remove all your roadblockers by recognizing them first. All right, if you want a workshop, the worksheet for today, just send me a message on social media at Sabrina Rombach as my handle. So what does my version of Heck Yeah Life means? It is, I used to say no and not able to make out to my workout classes. Now I can squat 225 pounds. It's like putting LeBron James across my shoulder and squatting him. I used to rush out of the house in the morning. Now I can truly wake up listening to my energy playlist, get me going on a good note. And also, I used to feel exhausted all the time. Now I can reboot my energy immediately and be able to teach other young professionals to do the same. So may I ask you, what does a life full of heck yes look like for you? Thank you.
Thank you, Sabrina. Could you, we are. Good. Thank you so much for a very passionate sharing of getting in touch with what we're thankful for, how to set the frame of mind to be able to be receptive to the energy out there and how to capitalize on that. That's what I was getting out of your message there. And with my own target there, good deal. This morning I went out for a walk with the dog, and I just, thanked, I was very thankful for, the blue sky, the fresh air, the ability, my health, all those things. It just really puts my mind in a great, a great place where I should be, where I should stay. I want to thank you today for being part of the show. And I've got to get Andrea on here because we're running just a little bit behind time because of me, not you. And, but again, Sabrina, thank you so very, very much for being a part of our show today. And let me do a little work here. I need to cut on Sabrina's camera, mute hers, and let me cut the, all right. And Andrea, are you there?
I am.
Did you get, there you are.
I am here.
There you, I know you were. I'm just trying to get all this techie stuff behind the scenes done. You're going to be talking to us about how to manage your financing during a crisis. That is a very important subject, especially right now, because a lot of people are hurting.
Yes.
Let me cut off my camera, mute my mic, and the stage is yours.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Jim. Hi, everyone. I'm Andrea Williams, and thank you very much, Jim, for having me on. Sabrina, you did a fantastic job. It was an excellent way for me to sort of calm myself a little bit. And I begun my day similar to some of what you've suggested in preparing myself to speak. So thank you for that. It was amazing. I love those 3 tips at the end, and self-care is selfish. I totally believe I've got to focus on that a lot more. So I agree, Jim, this is a tough time for everyone, and I'm feeling it, and I'm sure that most people are feeling it. No one expected this pandemic and this crisis, so we may not have prepared like we would have liked. So anyhow, with respect to me, I'm here today after many years. I feel that I've always been an educator, and I'm hoping today that I can impart on many of you who are listening some tips and strategies on how to manage yourself financially through this crisis. So I come as a former school teacher, elementary school teacher. I love teaching, love working with children, but always had a passion and a desire to be in business and to do something different. And so 20 years later now, after leaving teaching, I have pursued a financial services business as well. Now over time, I've added to that some other passions, because I totally believe what you're saying, Sabrina. We really have to pursue and do the things that we love, that makes us feel great and makes us feel that we're meeting our own needs as well, so that we can then meet the needs of others. So after being in financial services for this length of time, I think I was in probably 7 years in, and I decided I would pursue real estate, which was always my passion. I think I was probably 17 years old. And unlike Sabrina, who was getting upset with her marks in school, I was getting excited about figuring out how I could get into real estate. And at 17, I had no idea. So I didn't buy my first place at 17. I think I was 22 before I could do that. But I had some money, and I really wanted to pursue that. So one of the things that I've done additionally as someone in real estate is I found individuals that I can partner with. And in the last few years, I found my sister-in-law, who is a member of, obviously, my family. She's married to my husband's brother, Kemba. She was also speaking earlier this week on how to overcome your fear, which I definitely think that we can all do, especially when it comes to speaking. She and I have partnered and decided to form what we've now called Keen Group. And so you can find out more about us at keengroup.ca. Along with COVID hitting us, and we had all these great plans about things that we were going to do in terms of live events and educational workshops. Well, we can't pursue those right now. So we've decided to take on some other ventures. And one of the things that we took on was a new podcast. And we call that Keen on You because our goal in that podcast is to help educate individuals like Jim has put together this Speakers Pathway Coalition to help impart knowledge that we all have for individuals who may be able to benefit from what we are sharing. Kemba and I have also put together a podcast to help do that. So you can check us out. We're on Spotify and Apple Podcast, sharing stories from women, successful women like Sabrina and ourselves and many others who have stories of success and stories of their business, challenges and triumphs. And so we encourage you to take a listen. But I am speaking today on a topic that I know is very challenging for most people. And I do have, and I'm hoping I can share my screen as well, because I did put together a few slides just to use visually. Let's see if I can do that while I'm doing this. So, okay. Can we see that, everyone? I hope we can see that right now. I just wanted to, as I said, address finances, which is an important area for me. I've always, from I was 17, focusing on how I could save and reduce costs and expenses so that I could always have money to afford the things that I wanted. And today, some of those things that we want aren't just wants, they're actually needs. So if you are looking at ways to reduce cost, first you have to make sure that you're looking at what you have in terms of income, so that the income, because I know for many people, myself and our family included, our income has changed substantially since COVID occurred. We are now having to work less. Most of my business is to go out and see clients and to meet with them one-on-one with social isolation, social distancing. That's definitely not possible in the same manner. So like some businesses, we've turned to using Zoom or doing business from home. It's not necessarily the easiest way to conduct some of our transactions, but it is the option that is there right now to help us still sustain ourselves and generate income. So our four main needs or critical needs that have to be met are food, utilities, shelter, and transportation. I believe that in every household it's the same. These are essential needs. They are things that will sustain us, and definitely we need to focus on these during a difficult time such as this. Anything else is pretty much wants. They're non-essential. They're not necessarily needed, and we can definitely find ways to reduce those. And that's what I'm going to show you, some things that you could be doing to help yourself and your family sustain yourself for however long this crisis lasts. And of course, the strategies and skills that you develop at this time, you may want to carry them forward, because I think that if many of us had the time and chance to prepare, we may have stashed away a little bit of money. We didn't. And so if we didn't stash away and we didn't prepare, then we have to go back to looking at how much income do we have? How has our income sources been reduced, or have they decreased? And if they have, we have to find ways to then reduce and decrease our expenses accordingly, right? And as I said, some expenses may not be as easy to decrease, like the main four that I showed you in the previous slide, but there are many other areas that you can reduce, such as insurance. Auto insurance, that is. I know for myself in our household, we've hardly driven since March, and I will say that the same gas tank that I had in March, I still have today in May. So we've reduced our gas costs a lot, and I know for us that's keeping a lot more money in our pockets. And so you can also too reduce the insurance on your vehicles. If you have 3 or 2 vehicles in the home, if you can put one in the garage or park it for the period of time that we're in, so to speak, lockdown or isolation, you can then save on insurance costs. I'm just going to really show you some ways that you can reduce your cost and increase the cash flow that you have in light of the fact that your income has decreased substantially. Insurance is one of them. I know for my daughter, she wasn't using her car. We were pretty much just going out once every week or two. And I just said, we can do it with one vehicle. And so we've reduced our gas costs further. We've reduced our insurance costs. We've also looked at other areas, and I would encourage, and I've always encouraged my clients, my friends and family, and myself as a household to reduce expenses in areas that you may not even think of, like your mobile phone, your streaming services, your cable television, your internet. I know that they may seem like essential services because we need them and we use them. And of course, in such a time as COVID, we definitely need them. Right? It's our really only access to the world and to communicate with our friends and family, which we're no longer able to do. But those are areas that I myself and many individuals I know have taken the time to either call those providers or find ways to reduce and cut back. They may be dollars, but every dollar or tens of dollars adds up, and you now look at hundreds of dollars when you're talking about insurance, or even maybe cutting off some of the services until your income stream starts to increase again. Because for some people, it's not just that they have reduced their income, they may have actually lost their job. And so this may go beyond COVID, where they have to find another way or another source of generating income. So definitely find ways to increase your reserves. So every time you're not spending or using that money, or you found ways to cut back, that's now building that reserve or that emergency fund that you need to extend and carry you through this crisis, and hopefully into and beyond the crises of COVID, this current situation where we are. I would continue finding ways to spend cash and cash only, because if you're using lines of credit, credit cards, those are going to definitely cost, right? Whether it's costing you now or later, it's definitely going to cost you. And so making sure that you are cutting out those unnecessary spending. I mean, I've been practicing that just before COVID. I didn't like seeing my credit card balances. They were just too high. And so I stopped using my credit card now, and I was mostly using it for points, but now I'm focusing on trying to use my debit card and cash. And I can't use cash, you understand. No one's taking cash if they don't have to, but using our debit card and using the disposable cash that you have available. There's other ways to cut costs. If you're a shopper and or you're accustomed to shopping online and using, you know, those different ways, whether it's Amazon or clothing and shoes online, cut them. They're not necessary. They're non-essential at this time. I mean, I really hardly ever need most of the clothes in my closet currently to get out and do things, or to get around the house and do things. I'm pretty limited. I find that I'm not having to wash as much. The kids are all home. I'm home. We're not really having the same. What we do most is we eat a lot more. There's a lot more eating going on. And so we cut back a lot of our costs in terms of buying, even eating out. Definitely we're not ordering in. And so those are other ways that families and individuals can cut costs. You're not thinking about them, but those Uber Eats and Uber orders, they're costing. And it's probably less costly if you just go out to the grocery store, pick up those groceries, bring it back in, make it an event. Take it as an opportunity to cook together, have special nights in, pasta night, taco night. We were always trying to find opportunities through the course of the week to make meals fun and exciting. And you can definitely do that by preparing your own meals. And it's probably safer anyways, right? We don't know, many of the businesses out there I know are hard hit, but there are many businesses where we don't know the practices that may impact the food that we're ingesting or taking in. So have fun with it. I've taken this time to learn, teach my girls how to cook, focusing on traditional dishes like curry chicken, which they love and they enjoyed learning and having that experience. So finding ways to allow yourself and your family to cut costs, and you have to talk about it as a family so that everyone's on board, husband, children, wife. And that way you're all looking for ways, because even in the house, now that we're all home, we're using more utilities. So if we can all focus on, finding ways to reduce and continue to cut those costs on our hydro and utility bills, which are musts, that will also save us, right? I mean, our government has put in measures that has allowed us through the course of the day to not have to pay the higher hydro costs and so forth. So find ways. So those are some do's, you know, things that you could be doing, some ways that you can increase your income, especially if you've lost a job or you're not working with the same amount of income coming in, is you can look for part-time work. I know that I said Uber Eats. Well, Uber Eats is probably become much more popular, and so they may need drivers, right? And you could definitely be earning extra income that way. Maybe you have a skill set, a good or service that you can offer. Online is a big way to learn, to generate income today and to teach and educate. I've been using it as a method of learning new things so that I can help improve my business and my ability to earn income while I'm home. So become familiar with, you know, ways that you could do that online to help generate income, even if it's just selling some old items in your home. I've been saying to the kids here, we're cleaning out closets, cleaning out the house, and we've been looking at ways to just sell things online to generate extra income. Apply for the different government funds that are available. There are a number of sources locally as well as provincially that can help you sustain yourself. I know for my daughter and even myself, we've applied to the Canada Emergency Response Benefit, CERB. And so that's an extra way, or if you're not eligible for CERB, it's EI, and it's one or the other of those two that you can be eligible for. There's the Canada Emergency Business Account, the Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy, depending on whether you have a business and you want to be able to still generate the ability to have income to sustain some of your employees. There's the Ontario Support. I mean, some of them pay $2,000, you know, some of them pay hundreds of dollars, but all of it can help and add to the value that you provide for your family. Let's look at some don'ts. So some ways that you could sustain yourself today and going forward is don't generate higher lines of credit or credit cards. Don't spend using credit. Try your very best, if you can avoid it, to not use those tools or those sources that you may have formerly used, and spend cash. I didn't mention, I forgot to, but I think one of the ways that we could also reduce our costs and expenses, if you were typically accelerating or paying extra towards debt, you might want to pull back and reserve and hold some of that cash, because that's not going to benefit you in the days to come and the months to come. If we're in this situation for much longer, it's better to have that cash reserve, that emergency fund that I spoke of, being accumulated. Spend and pay the minimum amounts that are required. The government and the banks have also joined forces to say, if you need help to defer your mortgage or defer your taxes, you can reach out to your mortgage company or your city to put those costs on hold. Maybe, you know, I said shelter is important, so shelter, rent, or mortgages are important. We're not saying don't pay them. We're just saying look for help if there is some available and you can utilize it to help increase the cash flow in your house and increase the savings that you have on hand. Because, you know, we don't want to get into situations where we're not paying our mortgage or we're not paying our taxes and then we're having to fix that after. Don't pull out of cash out of your retirement or out of your investments if you can avoid it at all costs, unless you're faced with something very traumatic, like extreme hardship or bankruptcy, right? Due to health, you might have some extenuating circumstances, and then that's different. But we're encouraging you to spend cash in every scenario that you can. And I feel that having been in business for several years now, I feel that those tips and strategies that I've recommended today can definitely be great for you today during this crisis, but you can definitely take them going forward, and making sure that you utilize these, you know, tips and strategies, not just today in a crisis, but going forward, so that when you're on the other side of COVID, which I know we'll all get to, we want to make sure that we keep those same skill sets and those same practices in place so that we can continue to repair ourselves and get ourselves into a better position to make sure that we maybe acquire that job that we may have lost, or get back to work and generating income and living life like we formerly knew. I don't think that life is going to be exactly like we formerly knew it, but definitely it will be more it would be more like what we are accustomed to rather than the social isolation, which I know beyond financial hardship, I know that many of us are experiencing mental hardship because it's tough being home all day, every day. Even myself as a former school teacher, having to now juggle my work and my children, that's challenging. And of course, if someone is faced with financial hardship or challenges, it's going to be tough. So in summary, thank you very much. And I hope that we can all use some of the strategies that Sabrina recommended to take that deep breath, to focus on self and make really good decisions financially. Thanks everyone. And I'll pray that we'll all stay healthy, both physically and financially.
Thank you so much. Could you stop sharing your screen, please? Did you? Okay. There we go. There we go.
We got it.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for those wonderful tips. And Sabrina did a great job too. And Andrea, you guys are a 1-2 punch. You really are. You did a great job there. You gave out some great pointers. And I've got to shift gears now because time is of the essence. We got to get Mr. Victor on here because he's going to be talking to us about leveraging social media. So thank you again, Andrea. Appreciate you being here. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see here. Let me,
How do I get this out?
yeah, let's see. I got to do all this stuff here. And Victor, let me, did you get Victor, are you there?
Yes, I am. Hey,
there you are, sir.
morning. How's it going?
Doing real good, brother. You're going to be talking to us about leveraging social media and how to get your name out there and keep your business thriving when other people are just flat dab, holding back. So let me give you a spotlight and cut my camera off. The stage is yours, sir.
Gotcha. Sure. I appreciate it. Well, awesome. So we all know, if you're anything like me at this point, we're all at home anyways. We're all using social media. And if you are a business owner and really looking to break out of that best kept secret because you've been only focused locally and you're ready to go to that go-to celebrity, people that just come to you, there's no more sales calls, but just enrollment calls when people talk to you and they're just ready to buy. They just need to know a little bit more about you. Then social media is the way to go, right? You've been needing to do it forever. And just like with finances and with anything else, so if we had the plan in place, if we were given the time to do it, then we would have. However, we didn't. So now it's needed. And the people that are taking advantage of this are the ones who are going to be the leaders of tomorrow. And I'll share my screen here. I have a couple of things for you that you can actually use and just take notes on and write down today. But I'm not a fan of frantically taking notes. So here are the 4 steps to really go from the best kept secrets to the go-to authority in your market so that you can start leveraging your online presence and really getting and attracting, engaging, elevating, and converting all of your ideal clients. So a little bit about me first, so we kind of jump into it. As you can see here, who am I? I'm the founder of our marketing agency, VentoBot. I worked with multiple 6, 7, and 8-figure businesses. We've taken them to the next level, mid-6 figures, taken them to 7 and mid-figures, mid-7 figures, and same with 7 figures, taking them to 8. So these principles are foundational, and we've taken people that are startup as well and taken them to 6 figures and mid-6 figures. So it's simple and foundational. These are what the big people are using. And while most businesses are shutting down their non-essential marketing, these other businesses aren't doubling down because they know how to use them with these foundations and these principles here. And there's really 4 steps. As you can see here, there's just, it may seem almost too simple, and I get that. So you need to attract, you need to engage, elevate, and then convert new clients, customers, and a new audience, right? So just a little bit of how we've helped. For example, Suzanne Evans, who's the founder of Driven Inc., an 8-figure business, and for example, we've generated 334 leads for them in 1 week, right? So just imagine what that would look like for you in 1 week. Some people can't even handle that amount, right? So same thing with Beanie here. She was in more of the startup phase, and we were able to generate book sales for her at just 99 cents per lead. So if you think, if you're an author or a speaker and you have a book to use to give out to people and you want to attract people that way, just imagine what that would look like. Cheryl here is a multi-6-figure business owner. And, with she has group programs that she teaches people on video strategy. And essentially in 1 week, in 1 month, we were able to really fill her group programs to 22,500 revenue generated for her, right? So 10,000 generated organically. And then when we add some ads, we only spent about $4 and generated another 12,500. Just imagine what that would look like for you, right? So again, I have multiples of these multi-six-figure business owner. He was able to get 10 ideal client calls, each closing for about 1,500 to 15K per project. He was a branding agency. Cody, the 1 hour funnel here, he ran a challenge and was just able to get a ton of things. So now the first thing here, and before I begin, if you actually want what I'm going to cover over, just head on over to ventobot.com/bundle. I talk about 3 worksheets that we're going to go through today that you can use right now so that you can start to become that go-to authority and leverage social media for your ideal clients, right? So attract, right? How we attract in our marketplace is probably the most important thing that we can do. And people are telling you it's not enough anymore to just be like, I can help you with this. For example, I can walk up to people and say, I can help you with Facebook ads. I can help you with social media. But that's not enough. We need to show people how we can help them by actually helping them first. Value in advance. And I'm sure the people, if you're still stuck in that, like, well, I can just tell people what I do and they'll understand and they'll eventually work with me, you're behind, right? Just like there's going to be a new normal, there's going to be a new world. Things that weren't working in the before, that were just the status quo, have now completely broken for that reason. They were broken. And the new normal and the new way of doing things, the new leaders are going to rise up tomorrow because this is how the world is now. So, for example, attract. We need to provide value in advance. If you can help someone get the momentum without working with you first, they're going to be thinking in their head, man, if this is what their free stuff is like, just imagine what working with them will be like, right? So that is the purpose of the attract phase here, the first step, and that's lead magnets. We've all heard about them. Most people overcomplicate them. I don't know about you, but if you're anything like me, you've downloaded a ton of ebooks, but you never read them because you're interested in the topic, but the ebook itself is like 60, 70 pages, 40 pages, and you're like, I'm not gonna read that. I don't have time for that. No one has time for infobesity, consumption without execution. So a lead magnet is something that you can consume in 3 to 5 minutes and execute in the next 10 to 15 minutes. And if you can't do that, you have an ebook, not a lead magnet. All right, so this is how you craft a lead magnet. There's really 3 stages to this. And again, before I forget, head on over to ventobot.com/bundle to get this worksheet. You'll get the actual worksheet instead of having to try to take a screenshot or anything like this here or take notes of it here. So there's an intro, the action steps. The most important piece is for the clients, the audience, the people that opt into this is the action steps. And then the third step is the most important piece to you, the call to action, right? The intro is really just pre-framing what it is you do and how you help them and whatnot. The action steps are what actually gets them momentum. So what things can they do right now on their own that get them an initial result A to B, that cookie crumb, right? Call to action is your most important piece because it is the next step. So in a nutshell, if I want my daughter to drink milk, and she's not a fan of milk, I can say like, hey, do you want some milk? Sure, but she may or may not take it. That's what most people do when they say like, hey, do you want me to help you with this service or product or whatever it is that I have or program? Most people, you'll get a 50% chance of people saying no. Now, if you offer a cookie instead, I'm like, hey, do you want a cookie? Sure. Would you like some milk so that you can dip your cookie in? Now, there's a different dynamic there, right? If you offer someone a result in advance, they don't need the milk, but it makes that experience that much better. That's what your call to action needs to be, right? So as long as you can do that online, you can just post about, like, you can talk about, for example, do you need financial help? These are the 6 things you can cut out right now to get even more cash flow into your business. Boom, here you go. People need that. The next step would obviously be some kind of consultation that probably helps them look at everything else. It's not needed, but it makes that experience that much better, right? So that's that first key here. And this is kind of like the worksheet, the ad lib, just plug and play what you need. Again, that worksheet is in that bundle, ventobots.com/bundle to get your worksheet. That's one of those 3. And then the next piece here is engage, right? Step 2 is once you've attracted those people, how do you engage with them? Right? So building all that engagement has to be focused and showing them that you can actually solve their needs. But see, here's the problem. Most people start by actually saying like, hey, you need You need this plan for this year-long program. You need this course. You need this book. People they need that, but they don't want that. So you need to start by actually giving them what they want first, and then helping them realize what it is they actually need. For example, in the story I just mentioned, I know my daughter needs to drink milk. It's going to help her to develop as she grows. Does she want to do that? No, she wants the cookie. But then when she realizes, like, oh, I can make that cookie even better with milk, now it's a win-win for everyone. And that's what we want to create. It starts her, it starts getting momentum into that like transition, and it starts to create that habit, right? So that's just one thing you can do if you think about it from that perspective for your audience, right? So you can attract new people. And there's a specific formula we follow that helps to really get this, dial it in. And there's 3 pieces to it, right? So the icebreaker is that initial cookie piece. The momentum is the piece that you give them, that cookie that says, like, here you go, you can start doing this and you'll get a result. And then what happens next, right? The way we position an irresistible offer, and how to craft that is actually in that formula as well, right? So that's how you focus on that engagement piece. And then finally, this third step here, this is where most people drop off. Most people understand, okay, I got to attract the right people, I got to engage with them, and if they don't convert now, they're dead to them. I'm sure you've felt this before, where you've started this buying process with somebody and you didn't end up buying. You're like, oh, I'm not ready yet. They're like, okay, cool. And you never hear from them again. They ghosted you. Well, that means that person didn't understand this third phase here, which is elevate, right? Elevate is where you take all those pieces, all this content, and you have a call to action. And essentially you're focused on creating content over and over and over again, new content, right? Instead of reusing the same content. My topics, to me, when I speak about this stuff, I've said this same thing for the past 4 years, because it's fundamental and it's simple and it's proven. That's what's helped us to get those same results. I don't create new content. I just say the same things over and over and over again to new people. So if you're able to do that, if you're able to find new people and say the same things, your process, your expertise, that's what's going to allow you to scale and really grow up, right? If you're not doing that, if you're talking to the same people, you've helped them already. What happens when that run out? So just imagine you're constantly bringing in new people, attracting and engaging with them, and then elevating them through your process so that they can be ready to work with you, right? So that's how you do it. But if you end up confusing them by always creating new content, as you've all heard before, a confused mind always says no. So then, instead of over-delivering like we've been told to do, right? Instead of over-delivering that information, creating this infobesity. And like I said, I love that word because you understand exactly what it means. It's consumption without execution, right? There's too much information out there. We're no longer in the information world. We're in the insight action world now, where we need curated information. Instead of understanding how to buy a house my first time, I want to shorten that time frame and talk to one person that can help me fast track that piece. That's what people want. They don't want more information. So we want to focus on getting them results in advance, like I mentioned before. And essentially you help them build momentum, and then that allows them to craft the idea. You craft that roadmap of this is where you will eventually go, right? So just imagine they're asking you, hey, what's next? Like, or even better, can you help me with what's next? So that's what we want our ideal clients to say to us consistently. And there's a couple of ways to do this, right? So you do need to create core content. And if you think about it this way, if you've ever gone on a hike, there's usually a path that you follow. That's how you think about your content. This customer journey, this experience is what I like to call it, right? Because there's usually 3 to 5 main obstacles that they will run into if they were to do this completely without you. What obstacles, 3 to 5 main obstacles, do they run into on their way to success? When they're done working with you, what is the end result? And then you work backwards from where they are. Again, before I forget, head on over to bentobot.com/bundle to get your 3 worksheets. This mapping worksheet is in there as well. That's the second of the 3. All right, so that way you're able to craft that, the lead magnet worksheet and this customer experience worksheet. So that's how you get that, and that's what I call pillar content, right? That's what people say when they meet it. There's a way to automate it, and this is what you've seen, for example, people like Gary Vee do. Gary Vaynerchuk, he creates one piece of content and then repurposes it throughout a majority of platforms, and that is essentially what we're doing here, right? We have a service that does that for you and helps automate that for you, but that's for another day. Now, a few questions for you to actually start mapping this piece out. This is in the worksheet. This is a piece of that worksheet. Again, you don't have to take frantic notes here. You can just go to bentobot.com/bundle to get that worksheet that you can spend your actual time doing it, spend the next 10 to 15 minutes doing it. Now, there's 4 milestones, for example. 1, what questions should they be asking and what mindset do they need to be shifted for them? Right? That's usually the first obstacle that they run into. Step 2, milestone 2 is where do they start and what tools do they need? This is where your lead magnets come into play. So your content starts at the milestone 1. Your milestone 2 is where your lead magnets start to come into play, the things that help them get momentum. And then 3 is how do they keep going and how do you keep their momentum going and what obstacles do they run into there? Help them understand what comes next, what to avoid, what they might run into. And then finally, milestone 4 is usually based around testimonials. Like, what's the next logical step? Like, if you are the next logical step for someone to make that next jump, then help them by showing them how others have made that jump and what successes they have. Let your testimonials handle the objections for you. So, and then here's, if you've noticed, if you're anything like me, you've noticed by this point, I've said this several times. Most people say a call to action has to be at the end. I don't believe that. It has to be a subtle reminder every so often, because if you're anything like me, you've heard this several times. To get those 3 worksheets, where do you go? bentobot.com/bundle. I said it at the beginning before we begin. Hey, by the way, hey, before we continue, before I forget, and if you're serious about getting these worksheets and really leveraging social media, head on over to bentobot.com/bundle to get your copy. See, I use this all the time in everything that I do, saying the same things over to new people all the time. And that's how you really start to scale a business. That's how these big companies got to where they are. They focus on these fundamentals and principles. Now, before I finish up here, this last step here is convert, because we're running out of time here, and I want to show that, like most people, there's a lot of ways to do this. Facebook ads, like email marketing, chatbots, things like that. But you need to move them through that process in that 3rd phase first, right? So let's go ahead and really talk about something that people think, because most people think sales are too hard, and it's not that they're too hard, but if you think about it this way, you are here to serve a certain type of person, and if they're not going to get their success with you, then they're probably going to move to someone who is less qualified than you to actually help them. So don't be afraid to actually make an offer and say, hey, this is how I can help you. Because most people have trouble with, they just turtle up when they hear an offer or they talk about sales. So here's your next step. Head on over to bentobot.com/bundle to get those 3 worksheets. So the 3rd worksheet that I didn't really touch on is the worksheet to create engaging social posts. Whether you're going to use this to create engaging social media ads or you're organically creating posts that talk to your ideal client, that 3rd worksheet helps you map that whole thing out so you can create engaging posts every time. And then you also have the content mapping, the experience, and finally the perfect client magnet worksheets, how to create those lead magnets that actually attract the right people. Now, if you have any questions, feel free to just message me there. Once you go to that page, again, I'll just leave it up here, bentobot.com/bundle. What will happen is you'll be able to start having a conversation with me. We'll engage, you and me, and I'll actually have a conversation with you. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell, and that's how you leverage social media. That's how I do it. That's how I have my clients do it, and that's how they're able to scale from startup to 6 figures, from 6 figures to mid to 6 figures, to mid 6 figures to 7 to all the way to 8. That's as far as we've worked with. I haven't been in touch with, most people don't know who those 9-figure, 10-figure, I've been in masterminds with them, but I don't, by that point, they have this all in-house. They don't need someone like me anymore. So I'm glad I was able to help you all with that. So I'll give the stage back to Jim here.
Thank you so very much. I tell you
course,
right
yeah.
now, yeah, can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Good deal. Yeah, I thought I had my mic there muted. Thank you so very much. You hit on a lot of great, topics there, and I like your. And I'm going to invite Andrea back too, since she's still with us. Sabrina had to go to another appointment, but I really appreciate your approach, and I want to thank you both, and even Sabrina, who's not with us, she had to take off. But thank you for being here because each one of you created and presented a lot of value to the folks.
That was great. Yeah, you
And
did an awesome job.
yeah, Victor, I took some notes on you. I'm going to contact you. You gave me an idea, and I want to run it by you, and we'll get with you a little bit later. And Andrea, I'm so glad that you told ladies out there they really don't need another pair of shoes in their closet right now.
I hope I was speaking to you, some of our wives and spouses.
Yeah, I'm glad that my significant other is not hearing that right now. No, but sincerely, thank you very much. We're out of time, but I want to thank you for being here. Your individual presentation will be there. All these speakers, ladies and gentlemen, their individual presentations will be at speakerspathway.com. Just scroll down a little bit. You'll see messages of inspiration, hope, support, and click on see more, and all of them are there. Be sure and share the speakers that mean a lot to you with someone else that might be able to benefit from their wisdom. I'm Jim Grant on behalf of Victor and Andrea and Sabrina. We thank you for being with us today. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bless you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.